Hi, today I want to share with you all the different ways that you can enjoy the Feast of Unleavened Bread. There are a lot of delicious recipes we're going to talk about today. Thank you for joining me. Now you may think of unleavened bread as, well, why is that important? I'm going to share with you a little bit about that. Also, it might be a pita bread that you have that you enjoy eating and sharing with your family. All of these recipes would be very beneficial for pita bread, for pizza crust, and especially unleavened bread. So I want to share with you what I've discovered with making unleavened bread. First of all, I hope you've already seen the video on how to make unleavened bread. I shared two different recipes. One was the original unleavened bread, which we kind of get to make our own little matzo crackers, which are going to be perfect for Passover. Well, you know, right after Passover comes the Feast of Unleavened Bread. There's another type of recipe that I made, which is now my new favorite, and we cut it up into different squares, and so it's kind of like a bread brownie, is what you could call it, because the texture is almost similar to a brownie, but yet not quite as much of a cracker as this one. So these are the two recipes that we started with. We already did that on another video, so you can go and watch that, how to make your own unleavened bread. We'll give you a link down below. Now, Feast of Unleavened Bread is 7 days, and we want our family to understand why God instituted this festival and how it impacts our life today. The more we teach our children and our grandchildren about God and His ways and how He delivers, He delivered back then, He delivers today, our children and grandchildren will never leave the roots of their faith when they understand how God works. And we can teach them that through these festivals. Okay, so we've made the unleavened bread. Now I want to share with you different ways to enjoy it for 7 days. Now you could use any of these ideas, even for Passover or Resurrection Sunday, which is also Feast of First Fruits, and as some Christians call it, Easter. So you can use these for any of those holidays. So let's just look at one of them. This plate is still hot. I just took it out of the oven. I actually made a pizza out of the unleavened bread. So I already had the prepared unleavened bread. So I just put a sauce on there, put some of my favorite turkey sausage, and then topped it with some cheese and baked it in the oven. So making your own personal pizzas is an easy meal during these 7 days. Let me share with you some other things I did. Here's a plate of examples. So this is just the unleavened bread with some typical hummus on it. Just a simple way, and we'll have this also for Passover, and we'll also have this for Resurrection Sunday, or you may call it First Feast of First Fruits, if I can say that right, as some call Easter. Okay, so that's one way. Another simple way would be just use pesto. I mean, it looks gorgeous having some greens in your diet through the pesto. So make your own pesto, or if you don't have time, just go ahead and buy your own pesto. Now, here's an interesting, this is a different hummus. Let me put this down. I don't need that anymore. This is a pumpkin hummus. And I'm going to give you this recipe down below because it's delicious. And it just gives you a different twist when it comes to hummus. And I always canned and process my own pumpkins every fall, so I have lots to use throughout the year. And usually I get my pumpkins free. We'll talk about that later. But this makes a delicious topping. So if you have pita bread, if you have unleavened bread, and you're just wanting a new appetizer, or this could be a sandwich. You know, you could turn this into a sandwich or just a nice light snack. Okay, then the last one. These are the veggie pizza bars that are in our Healthy Treasures cookbook. And I used, once again, one of the unleavened bread matzo crackers here. Actually, I made them a little bit softer. I didn't overbake them, so they're very soft and chewy versus hard and crispy. I do it both ways, but this one is actually my soft and chewy one. So what I did with this is, in the recipe book, it talks about starting with cream cheese and mixing in some ranch dressing mix. Well, I also give you in the cookbook how to make your own ranch dressing. But I just want to share with you, you could do this so easily on your own with what's in your pantry or your spice cabinet. I start with a Nature's Own seasoning, which is delicious, and I'll put a link to that down below. I added some garlic, and I added some Italian herbs. And I have my own dip here that is way too good. Sometimes I come up with things, I'm like, oh, I wish that wasn't so good, because limiting portions is sometimes a struggle, especially when things taste so good. So it's putting that spread on your pita bread or on your unleavened bread, and then topping it with some broccoli chopped up, some cherry tomatoes, and even some green and red peppers. And you have a perfect meal for your kids, your husband, your family, everyone who's joining you at your dinner table. Okay, so let's move on. So I've shared most of that. So that takes us to this plate. Using the more chewy brownie type unleavened bread, I made some cinnamon toppings. So this is just, I coated it with some melted butter and then topped it with the mixture of cinnamon and sugar. And so if you've never done the cinnamon and sugar mix, I say sugar, but I don't use sugar. There's no sugar in this home. And I use sucanat or monk fruit or coconut sugar, things like that. You would powder that in a blender and make it real fine. And then you mix it with the cinnamon. So it's always 1 tablespoon of cinnamon to 3 tablespoons of your sweetener of choice. Make sure you get that right, otherwise it's way too strong on the cinnamon. So just, coat this with some butter, sprinkle it with your cinnamon and sugar mixture. You might even keep that mixture in its own container like this and just sprinkle it on, and you are good to go. Then this one here, in Aldi grocery store, they have some goat cheese in these little small packets, and they have some that are already flavored with honey. Well, that makes like a cheesecake. So you could take some of these squares and cover it with the goat cheese with the honey in it, and then sprinkle some cinnamon on top, and you just have the most delicious dessert. And it's so quick and easy. And then that takes us to the mozzarella cheese sticks. So once again, I have my unleavened bread. Instead of cutting it into squares like I did here, I cut it into strips, and then I put a coat of olive oil on it, and on top of that I put some shredded cheese. And so I use some mozzarella here, but be creative. You can use any cheese at all. There are so many flavors, and sometimes we get stuck with just mozzarella and cheddar. That's all we use. There's so many delicious flavors out there to enjoy. And so here you have a plate of mozzarella sticks. Just so many things that you could do with this unleavened bread. And you may think, well, I don't know what to do if I celebrate, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Well, here you go. There's an unlimited amount of resources of things that you can do with this bread. So let me encourage you, make the bread, make a double, maybe a triple batch, make both varieties, and then see what all kinds of toppings that you can come up with. I'm Annette Reeder, the biblical nutritionist. I'm on mission to keep you on mission, and that means I want to teach you how to cook. I want to teach you how to love your kitchen. I want to teach you how to feed your family well, because when you're confident in the kitchen, you're confident in your health. And that confidence comes by knowing how to cook, but it also comes with the confidence of knowing God's got this for you. He's got a plan, and He wants to teach you about His amazing foods. And I'm going to help. All right. Please subscribe to this channel so you get notified every time we put new videos out, because they're coming pretty quickly. And if you want to read the blogs about these recipes, be sure and check out thebiblicalnutritionist.com. And if you want to shop for some of the machines and appliances that we use, then you would go to designedhealthyliving.com. So many resources to help you be confident in the kitchen, enjoy bringing your family to the dinner table and sharing with them what you made, and always sharing God's goodness all the time. So thank you for watching. Be sure and, subscribe and say like, and share this with your friends, your women's ministry. We have a mission to bring women back to the dinner table with the confidence of knowing that they can feed their family well. As your nutritionist, be sure and leave a comment. What topics would you like me to cover? And we'll get on it right away.